Now, you might have noticed that when we discussed preference utilitarianism, I used an example of a person with a preference for a PhD. I argue that their premature death could lead to the frustration of a preference like this, which would constitute a loss of utility. I also suggested that the preference to have a drink of water was not sufficiently enduring or was merely instrumental, as this preference either does not seem to be frustrated at all by dying, or if it is frustrated, it doesn't seem to matter anymore. But non-human animals don't tend to have preferences to do PhDs, or any similar long-term projects. Rather, they presumably have desires for things like drinking water, eating food, seeking warmth and shelter, and so forth. So does this suggest, on a preference utilitarian view, that death is not bad for non-human animals? This is certainly a possibility. Working out a detailed answer to this will require making some further assumptions. I just want to sketch an overview of an answer here. First, notice that most animals presumably have a desire not to experience pain, and this desire is presumably intrinsic and enduring. If an animal is in agony and you ask your vet to euthanize it, it seems like you're doing something good for the animal. You're satisfying one of its crucial preferences, or at least you're avoiding the future frustration of a crucial preference. So I think that some animals have enduring and intrinsic preferences, and these can be affected by their living or dying. But the example I gave is one where an animal's utility is increased by ending its life sooner. Are there cases where its utility is lowered? Do we think that if an animal dies prematurely, it is likely to have projects, akin to doing a PhD, that suffer as a result? I'm not sure how to decide this once and for all, but I'll offer the following sorts of cases that seem promising to me. First, an animal that cares for its young in a particularly intimate and ongoing fashion arguably has an intrinsic and enduring preference to see its young flourish, at least up until the age when the young leave the age of needing parental care. Cows have been observed behaving as though they are grieving the loss of a calf. Some birds will aggressively defend their nestlings from invaders. Penguins travel great distances to bring food to their chicks. Kangaroos carry their young around in pouches for months after birth. While we may doubt that these animals are capable of entertaining ideas about death and survival, it seems at least possible that killing an adult of one of these species may sabotage its project of raising its young successfully. Second, some animals build quite elaborate structures that require maintenance over time. Birds build nests. Bowerbirds, in particular, can construct elaborate courtship sculptures. Beavers build dams. Killing one of these animals in the middle of construction efforts might, conceivably, frustrate a preference they have to finish the project, or at least to continue participating in it. So perhaps in cases like this, there is a case to be made that taking the life of an animal will lower its utility. But obviously this won't apply to all animals. For other animals, I think the most plausible preference utilitarian view is that animals do not suffer any loss of utility by being killed, and if they face a future of pain and suffering, then killing them may yield a higher net utility. So on a preference utilitarian view, there is something especially valuable about lives of humans, but it is not because of our membership of the species Homo sapiens. Rather, it is because we have certain sorts of projects that are liable to be compromised when we die, and this is a negative for utility. Other animals, with simpler cognitive systems, don't have projects that endure over time, and so when they become unconscious or dead, their preferences die with them.